one.
Transgender activist Rose Montoya was invited to the White House Pride event by President Biden and went topless on the White House lawn. We'll discuss the parallel connection to Epstein Island. Juneteenth was Monday, and conservatives like Candace Owens mock and criticize Juneteenth. Next, passport bros are becoming wildly popular, but what does the Christian community think about it? And finally, a jury sides against Starbucks in a multi-million-dollar anti-white discrimination case. We're going to talk about all that and more next. Enemy territory here. Hello, it's Wednesday and it's time for Pop and Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ, and let me introduce you to my co-hosts. We have Shelly E, Yana, and T.
What's up?
Again, all right. Join the conversation by leaving a comment on YouTube or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. And don't just comment, subscribe. Subscribe to our social media so you always know when we post new content. Check us out on our website at www.popandpoliticslive.com for up-to-date information. We are an independent media, and we would definitely appreciate your support. So you can also donate on there. So any amount is appreciated. Again, that's www.popandpoliticslive.com. Again, we are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. All right, ladies, let's set it off. How's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
All
wonderful.
right.
I'm excited. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know. So happy to be back. We were took 2 weeks off, so we had pre-recorded shows on. If you guys didn't notice, tonight we are live once again. All 4 of us back in the house. So we're going to get right into it with Pride Month. So we are still in June, which means we are still in what we call so-called Pride Month. I want to start out with this, with the White House. Take a look at this. This is clip number 1.
Mr. President, it is an honor. Trans rights are human rights.
Are we topless at the White House?
One of the bravest and most inspiring people I've ever known.
Okay. So he has said that. That's President Biden has said that about the trans community multiple times, specifically about Dylan Mulvaney. They are the, as he calls, the most, what did he say?
The bravest
people he knows. That was at the White House Pride event. So New York Post reported about this last week. A transgender activist who goes by the name of Rose Montoya attended a Pride event at the White House, took pictures with President Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, and other Democratic leadership, and then pulled down Montoya pulled down the top, her top, whatever, alongside other transgender people who had top surgeries and exposed themselves on the White House lawn. So Montoya responded about this after much criticism by saying, going topless in D.C. is legal, and I fully support the movement to free the nipple. All right, ladies, I want to get your response to this. Was this unexpected? I mean, Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre, White House press secretary, were, very shocked about this. They said that they couldn't believe this. They did not defend it. They said that it was inappropriate. I want to get your thoughts on this, Shelley.
Yeah. Well, like many people, I thought it was disgusting. Not only did I think it was disgusting, I thought it was demeaning. The words used by Biden, that these were some of the bravest people, to me, slaps directly in the face of all of the actual heroes and brave people, our military and our veterans who actually served and sacrificed to stand on that lawn and show the fake boobs, okay, because that's what they are. I have real ones, okay. If he wants some real boobs, he can have a little bit of mine, I guess, right? But to show fake boobs, and not only was it demeaning to women to say that this is what women do and this is how, you know, they show who they are. Well, guess what? Real women don't necessarily have to go do that because we just are. We just have boobs. But Biden and those people on that lawn were a disgust, and to me, they demeaned the military members who sacrificed for their country. And this is, I don't think it was a shock to them at all. Now, let me say that what's his name or her name, Rose? I don't know what to say. This person did apologize sometime later after digging in, but nevertheless, it should not have happened. Why were they not rounded up when they were there exposing themselves? Because if it was you or me, we would have been.
Yeah, and again, Montoya did apologize after first Montoya, confirmed it and was like, "This is what it is," and but then after public criticism, then Montoya apologized. But I mean, do we really expect anything else, Yana? I mean, isn't this kind of the thing? Pride Month, it's like the parades, the parties, everybody's taking their clothes off. This Montoya person is online doing that multiple times. Are we really surprised?
No, it's not surprising. And actually, all three of those people that were shown in the video were inappropriate. So Montoya, whatever, with the boobs, and then the other two with the cut off boobs, but still standing there shaking, like, what? You're doing this, you're all topless on the White House lawn. And so that is very typical of the left, that there's no decency, there's no morality, and this is what they promote. So it's absolutely not surprising. And they just maybe did not expect that they'll go that far right there on the White House lawn, but that's what they represent. They represent the lack of morality and lack of decency.
Absolutely. I want to get your thoughts on this, T. So Montoya has been featured in modeling campaigns by Tommy Boyak, Savage X Fenty, and Yandy, and delivered speeches at Yale University, Stanford University. This is all according to Montoya's LinkedIn page. My question to you is, why are more people upset about this? These are the types of people they want in the classrooms, in our kids' libraries, and everywhere. This is what they do. Why aren't people, screaming at the top of their lungs about this?
Because they can't. These people have so much power and influence over the world right now that nobody can say anything. We have to be just as delusional as them. We have to be just as crazy and insane as them. And we have to be just as much of a circus. Like, they've turned the world into a circus. They can dress and be they look like clowns, literally. Dress and be whoever you want to be, and we're supposed to accept it. Everyone is supposed to accept it. And if we do, we're calling discrimination. They're calling, oh, you're a bigot. You're all these names that just for people who have common damn sense.
Yeah. And not only that, I mean, speaking of all this foolishness, so recently they just, we have the pride flag. Now they have updated it to include autism. So now there's not only June is Pride Month, but there's also an Autism Pride Day, I believe in July. But they do this, so the official creator of the current Pride flag has now updated the flag to include Autism Pride, which we do know studies show that I believe autism does follow transgenderism. So what do you guys think about this? This is becoming
That's really
I think it's the other way. think it's the other way around, but go ahead, Yana. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that's really sad. Like, why are they putting that together? Like, as you said, that there is a link between autism and gender dysphoria. So basically, what they're trying to do is it's like grooming autistic children, saying that, well, if you're autistic, come to us. I mean, I guess they figured it's easy to groom those children because they already have a different sense of reality. So that's kind of really sad that targeting someone who is maybe not functioning as an average person, and trying to groom them into this different lifestyle. So I don't understand why the community that supports autistic people, why they're not speaking out against this.
Absolutely.
Well,
Go ahead, Shelley.
It's included.
Go ahead, T.
Shelley.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
included in this whole DEI and diversity inclusion, because actually July is Disability Pride Month. Just like we have Cancer Month and Women's Month and all that. It's the whole Disability Pride Month, which I don't understand, because if we have Pride Month, why do we have to break down another month of Disability Pride? Can't they all just lump it into one? And then so being this autism, like autism pride is, like Yana said, they're already living in this alternate, way of thinking. And it's like, okay, we don't need to include this. Let's just lump it all into.
Yeah, it seems like you said, T, all these pride things. So this is going to be the buzzword now: X pride and Y pride, or whatever. X and Y, right? Chromosome pride. All these different pride months. What I think is particularly disgusting, again, about the autism people, it's not just grooming. I'm going to call it, again, abuse, because these are young people, by and large, or people who, again, their sensories and their senses are not necessarily intact, right? And so they don't necessarily have the reality to compare that this is disgusting. Not only that, think about all the different colors that come with pride. They are playing on the sensory, emotional mentality of these autism patients or people. So again, this is abuse, and they are making it normal. They are trying to make it so that there is no question that this is the normal way of things.
Yeah. And it made me, as soon as the White House came out, as if they were shocked that this Montoya character, was topless on the White House lawn. As soon as they did that, it instantly made me think of Epstein's Island. And let me tell you how it did. Because the same thing happened. You had this disgusting man who was trafficking these young girls to billionaires and millionaires and politicians onto this island. And then everyone knew about it. They all knew about it. And then when the press and it became public found out, they act like they didn't. It was, and again, it was a grooming. That was all grooming, abuse, trafficking, things like that. This is the same thing what they're doing here with this whole gender dysphoria, LGBT, trans movement that is really centered on kids. It's grooming. It's Epstein 2.0, Epstein Pride 2.0 is what it is.
Right. Just think about parents who have autistic children. Just imagine, I guess I'm going to say the extra stress, if you will, and that I'm putting that in a loving way, that comes with raising and rearing those children who have special needs, right? So let's find a parent, and then you have introduced this child to this pride foolishness, right? The child becomes attached because it to the child, it may look fun or innocent. The child can't discern that. So then that's going to put that parent in a position, oh, well, this helps my child. No, it's not. It's setting your child up to have even more of an altered reality.
Right. Because autistic people, from what I know, people who have autism, they have a hard time adjusting to societal norms. So they have to really learn. So like some things that come naturally for us, they have to learn how things are and how to behave, I guess, properly in the society. And so when you tell them that, well, they don't need to learn that, or there's an alternate way, and of course, it's very confusing, and you can basically mold this person however you want.
Mm-hmm. It's
Well,
manipulation of the highest order.
That's the whole point of them. That's the whole point of them using the rainbow, because it attracts the children. It's colorful, and they've added more colors, and I'm sure they're going to keep adding colors once pedophilia is added to this. But they add the colors and attract the children, because that's who they want. They're trying to get to the children. No matter what your disability is, no matter what type of reality you live in, they just want you, your children.
Yeah. That's why it's imperative that people speak out against this. Every instance, we need to speak out. One way of doing that, if you don't want to do it yourselves, share this broadcast, share this, and because we are not afraid to speak out against this. It's abuse, as Shelley mentioned, it's grooming, and they have an agenda and target to go after our children. I know one classroom, they said it was like a quarter of the girls were identifying as transgender.
Right.
Yeah.
Most of them are young girls, particularly this social connection, or this social, pathology is what I'm calling it, because it's generally, historically, boys tended to have the dysphoria more so than girls. Now there are more girls. But now let's add this on this same line of thinking. Just imagine with our medical institutions, which are largely corrupted now, how many more children are they going to classify as autistic so that they can be in this bunch to be groomed and abused by this pride stuff? So it's like feeding this cycle, feeding this trough, this continuous feed of people to be abused and groomed by this mess. Young people, children.
Yeah, and with the medical institutions, have totally gone woke and are destructive and things like that. We may need to start getting back to like the olden days of having a what did you call it?
A rifle and shotgun at the door.
Right, that too, but also almost like a medicine person. It was a medicine person in each community that you trusted, and they did natural herbal things like that to fix people.
Elderly, a medicine man, Sharma.
So I guess with someone who definitely trained in the medical field, but it doesn't have to be through these institutions that are demanding our medical people go against their morals with this kind of stuff.
I mean, the problem we have natural doctors, but the thing is that a lot of them also on the left, and that's a leftist community.
And then they kill them. A lot of the natural doctors have been killed.
It's more so. I don't think it's okay. They become on the left, but it's more so because they cannot work, because in the insurance system, when you follow the money, they want to be paid, for their services, their experiences, but it's largely controlled by the insurance. So how are they going to get reimbursed if they don't do what the insurance requires for them to do? And the associations, the certifying bodies, things like that. So it's a whole muck and mire of a system.
I think what we need are stronger faith communities. That's what's missing. So right now, who is raising the children?
I don't know if they can fight this LGBT LMNOP community even.
But that's the only way, because right now we have schools that are teaching that. So every school, even if you try to monitor what's going on there, they will get to your children if they are in public schools. And the only way out of school. The only way to keep the kids, I guess, at least mentally protected from it, if they have a strong faith base that they can learn from and rely, and then they themselves become these warriors. Then they go into the schools, and then they can speak actually against it themselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, just remember that like the KJ said, the medicine men of old, they carry rifles and shotguns too.
Yes, they did. And like I said, I think that may be key. I haven't found too many. usually the herb natural path, nature path medical people, like they're not on for this whole vaccines and the things like that. They're for natural.
That's true.
Naturopath. So I don't know if they're. I'm sure you have people on the left doing it, but I don't know. We have to do something. And the one thing we do need to do is speak up and out about it. Speak. They are trying to normalize this. The left is trying to normalize this stuff. We have a photo. I want to show it again, once again, just in case we have new people coming in, to show you this Pride event. This person, Montoya, on the lawn of the White House. This is what they are trying to normalize. This person had surgery to give themselves breasts, pictured here with the President of the United States and topless on the White House lawn. This is what they're doing. Not only this Montoya person did it, but there were other people next to this person who have changed their biological sex and they cut off their breasts. This is what they're doing. This is not normal.
You want to know the craziest?
Yeah, it's really
craziest
sad.
part of all of this. The craziest part of this whole thing is she is actually pretty. If I were a guy, I'd be confused. And this is the type of surgeries.
Look, we're women and we're confused. I'm confused too.
No.
Right.
One thing we have to understand.
That voice, though.
Right. And we are seeing these people
and they see the Adam's
on video. When you see them in person, you can tell. Now they are getting better with the surgeries and things like that, but in person, you can tell something is off. And we had the situation where we were at the drag protest, and they do the surgery. I mean, does make them look like the gender that they got the surgery to do, but in person, you can tell something is always off. So we will continue to keep you guys posted about this. Get rid of Pride Month. Get rid of it. We don't need it. We don't need it.
There's nothing proud about it.
No. And we can see. Does this make you proud?
No. Like, I teach kids. Like, how can I tell? Like, what if the kids see this? I teach them to, like, respect our Capitol, our White House, and then they see this? What am I supposed to say?
I know.
Well, they lock up the what's his name? The guy that had the hair and the ram's head on January 6th. They lock him up for sitting on the desk, but you can be all breast out, take your bra off on the lawn, and the president calls it a brave
why? There's not only this, it's not even just a gender dysphoria trans issue. It's a issue across the board. You're penalized for calling people whores now. I don't know if I'm able to say that, but now it used to be back in the day. Yeah, this is something a whore would do. It's not. This person is on the lawn topless.
It's Marxism, I have to say. Like, I mean, that's what it is.
It is.
And like, it's normalizing deviancy and infiltrating society with deviancy and breaking societal norms. So there's whores are not bad people.
Right.
And, this is not bad. You can go topless anywhere. It's perfectly normal because it's breaking. We need to break. That's what they believe, that they need to break societal norms in order to create a new utopian society.
Exactly. And we need to call it what it is. This person is on the
delusional
lawn looking like a whore.
Delusional.
It's nothing wrong.
I wonder if I was on a White House lawn feeding my baby, how would they react? Oh, somebody just said that. I can't feed my baby, but we can show your fake boobs.
Right. We do have to move on because not only is this Pride Month, but this past Monday was Juneteenth. Lots of controversy about this, so we want to get into it. So this was Monday was Juneteenth. Again, we've said this last year, Juneteenth was dating back to the end of the American Civil War in 1865, commemorates our nation's independence. So it's the day when all members of the newly formed union were finally declared free. But then it didn't get to Texas or part of Texas until 2 years later, which local and regional people for many, many years have celebrated this as Juneteenth. I want to show this photograph I have here, if we can put it up. So that right there is a family on what they used to call Emancipation Day, June 19th, 1900, in the East Woods on East 24th Street in Austin, Texas. Mrs. Grace Murray Stevenson also kept a diary of the day's events. This event celebration has gone back for many, many years. I have another photo here, which this is the San Francisco Chronicle reported this. This is Martha Yates Jones in her decorated buggy on June 10th. This was a holiday, wasn't national or federal at the time, but it has been celebrated for many, many years in Texas and other areas across the country. But many conservatives have not been advocating or supporting this since it became a federal holiday. So one person we have here locally, Kim Klasick. This is clip number 2. Take a look here.
All right, again to you, if you're just joining us, happy Monday to you. Beautiful day outside. I am going to talk about the mayor and his new assistant and the cushy job she now has. But before I get into that, it looks like I have a caller that is a little disappointed in me and how I started the show. Thomas in Pikesville. Thomas, what's on your mind? Well, Thomas, let's have this conversation. First of all, I appreciate you listening to the show. I appreciate you listening to WCBM for so long. I definitely appreciate that. When you say that we don't address Black issues, when I start every show talking about the crime and violence in predominantly Black neighborhoods, is that not a Black issue? Okay, so you didn't like the fact that I didn't start with the Juneteenth. I'll tell you personally, and I can't speak for every host here, but I'll tell you personally, when I think about Juneteenth, and I think, people want to celebrate it, that's fine. And in case people don't know, this is in 1865 when slaves were told that they were now free to further the proclamation. I understand that was 200 years ago. And for me, I'm so tired of people weaponizing the past in this country to make others feel guilty or feel like victims. And so I usually skip conversations like that because, Thomas, I'm not a victim and I don't want other people to feel guilty for our tragic racist past in this country. And so that's why I usually stay clear of conversations like that.
All right. Now that's actually commentary we've seen a lot from conservatives. I'm going to stop here because we have some other stuff to show, but I want to get your thoughts on that, T, because you're from the South, you're from Florida. Do you feel like this Juneteenth, now that it's a national holiday, has made you feel like, it makes you think of slavery and victimizes Black people?
I would have felt better if we were celebrating Emancipation Proclamation instead of Juneteenth, because that's when we were really free. But my thing would be, Black people in this country are still saying that they aren't free. So what's the celebration? If you're saying that you're still oppressed and you're still being controlled by white supremacy and the white man, what are you celebrating? If you're not free, then what are you celebrating? So this is just something that Joe Biden, another thing that the Democrats just threw at the Black people because we love to accept crumbs. Well, they love to accept crumbs to be appeased, easily appeased. So I'm just trying to figure out, what are we celebrating at this point?
All right.
If they're not free.
Want to go here. Candace Owens was another who came out against the holiday, the national holiday. We have the clip, we have the photo here. She says, Juneteenth is still ghetto and made up. Hope everyone enjoys it. So that's what she posted. So there was, criticism and support for that tweet that she tweeted out on Juneteenth, June 19th this year. Thoughts on that, Yana? What are your thoughts there? You think that was appropriate?
Well, I don't think. Well, was that appropriate? I don't think it was necessary, really. So, but in terms of Juneteenth itself, when I first learned about it, I learned it from someone from the South, and it felt to me that the story that I heard from that person came from like a sense of anger, that there was this Emancipation Proclamation, but then there were people who didn't know about it for so long, and then so it was this kind of like upset that stayed there. And so I agree that I don't know if this holiday is a unifying holiday. It's something that it comes, just thinking about it, I feel like a lot of people have like a sense of kind of disappointment and pain for what was happening, that how come these people didn't know that they were free for so long. So I think the Emancipation Proclamation is the actual the law, that like what we're supposed to be celebrating. And the other stuff, if people in the South want to celebrate it, I think it was fine the way that it was. So now I don't know, I feel like it's not a unifying holiday. It's something that is dividing people even more.
Mm-hmm. All right. I want to get your thoughts on this, Shelley. This was a response from Deontay Johnson, who is the founder of Blacks for Trump. And then he also is the founder of Black Conservative Federation. So he is a big time person in the Republican Party. He does a lot of stuff for grassroots, getting out the vote and for stuff, trying to just grow the party. And I want to read this. He said, "I try extremely hard to ignore and bite my tongue when it comes to Candace's stupidity and ignorance." He's responding to Candace Owens' quote, "I have zero respect for her. She is a cancer to those fighting every day to conduct real outreach in the GOP. Listen to me clearly. Juneteenth is not a woke holiday. However, it's a day we should take immense pride in seeing how far our nation has come in terms of freedom and liberty. Juneteenth serves as a reminder of the tremendous struggles and sacrifice bestowed upon our forefathers who fought valiantly to end the dark chapter of slavery in America, while also celebrating and promoting the strength of family and community. To any conservative bashing Juneteenth, you are woefully misinformed and should be embarrassed." So thoughts on that response, Shelley?
Okay, so let me say this first. Full disclosure, I made a comment similar of the line of thinking that T mentioned. My comment was something about actual Republicans freed people back in 1865, but yet a holiday comes or is a sanction, and now, Black people by and large, beholden to the Democrat Party, said, okay, now we can celebrate it. Well, my contention was that I've been free. I've been free for a long time because that's how I was created and that's how I was made, right? That's number one. Deontay. Now, several of us on here, we know Deontay. I think it took a lot for Deontay to comment that he was upset. If you know Deontay, he's out here, he's doing the grind, pounding the pavement, doing the work in the community. So his comments have a lot of credibility. I think they carry a lot of weight. I think the comment by Candace, although again she was within her right to say whatever she wants, but she castigated Black people in general just because they want to celebrate this. I liken Juneteenth to sort of it is a cultural holiday. Like we have AFRAM here. Now, I didn't attend AFRAM because I think AFRAM has gone down the drains, right? But that doesn't mean that every Black person who celebrates Juneteenth is doing it for some ghetto reason. I would rather, the mindset for a lot of Black people is that, again, like T said, while we're not free, we're still slaves and we're still oppressed. But I don't think that's true. However, Deontay, I think, made an excellent statement. He carries a lot of credibility, and he has the credibility because he actually does the work. Candace is nowhere to be seen in the Black community. What is she doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, I feel the same. I agree with Deontay. And again, the holiday is what it is. And we saw the photos of people who have celebrated this holiday for many, many decades. This holiday has been celebrated in Texas and surrounding areas. Now, yes, Emancipation Proclamation happened. 2 years later, it got to this area within Texas. They were under slavery and being, enslaved for those 2 years until the Union soldiers got down and freed them. So I don't see what the big deal is. I really don't. First of all, let me remind conservatives, the first person to talk about making this Juneteenth a federal holiday was Donald Trump. Donald Trump, he said if he had gotten elected, he was going to make Juneteenth a federal holiday. No one else had said anything about it. And then, of course, he didn't make it to the White House, and Biden took it over. But Donald Trump first, and when he initially said it, wasn't a peep from any of conservatives taking issue with this holiday. Now, as soon as Biden makes it a federal holiday, now it's ghetto, it's, this and that. And I don't see what the point. I don't see how this helps our party. I don't see how this grows the party. I don't see why bad mouthing this. I get the idea behind, this is the Democrats, virtue signaling to their base. I get all that. But this is a historical celebration. It's not something that they just made up like Pride. This has been going on for decades.
But did Black people really ask for it? I mean, if I recall, when it was made a national or federal holiday, there were other things on the list, many things on the list that Black people were asking for, and this came out of nowhere from Joe Biden. So,
I don't think it needs to be.
There's a lot of more things that people in the United States need besides the federal holiday. I mean,
I can agree with that. Celebrate. I can agree with that and still celebrate. And still see nothing wrong with celebrate. I can sit here and say, hey,
I'm talking about
this is a great holiday.
That's more
I can
tangible.
say, well, two things
that's
can
more
be
tangible for Black people. If you want to do something for Black people.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be a federal holiday. I don't think it needs to be a federal holiday. I wish it had just stayed a regional or a local holiday.
I do too. Right.
Again, it's a cultural thing. Celebrate it. I have no problem with people celebrating it. I think once they became federalized or nationalized, that's when the politics came in. Even when Donald Trump, yes, he was the first one to initiate it, but it was still for political reasons. And I voted for Trump twice.
Right. It certainly was. But because he did it, conservatives didn't have any issue with it. Now that Biden did it for the political reasons, now it's an issue. It's ghetto. It's this and that. Charlie Kirk came out with something nasty about it as well. This doesn't help us. Do we want to win the White House? Do we want to win? Because this type of rhetoric, this type of nastiness does nothing to grow our party. It does nothing. And there is a subset of Black Americans, believe it or not, that have this national pride about them, but still love freedom, still love the idea of limited government, of low taxes, of they don't like all this woke things. There's a subset of Black people like that, and these comments do not grow our party. They don't. For what? You can say this is a pandering of Biden, and you can also say, hey, maybe I'll go to a Juneteenth celebration and see what it's all about.
You won't see them there.
White people aren't invited to celebrate Juneteenth, apparently. That's another thing that I was seeing. Because I saw some ads with white people on it saying Happy Juneteenth, and black people like, oh no, they didn't. Why didn't they put black people on? It's not their holiday. It's an American federal holiday. It is their holiday.
That's what I'm talking about. I don't see it as a unifying holiday at all. Like from my experience, from what I hear in the community and how people react to it, it's, you know, people who are not Black Americans, I mean, foreigners, they don't know how to react to it. Even people who are from Africa, but, you know, they're immigrants, they don't know how to react to it. They were very surprised by this holiday. What is the point?
Well, it didn't used to be like that. I can't remember the movie that this was in. It may have been Poetic Justice. It was some 90s movie. And they were traveling the country. And I can't remember the movie, which one it was. But they actually came to a Juneteenth celebration within the movie. They were showing it. And there were all kinds of people at the festival. I think it may have been Poetic Justice, but don't quote me on that. But I mean, now we do have this woke culture where they try to, you know, demonize everything, and it's all black this and black that, and it's sad. It really is. But I mean, it takes people like us to say, no, this is something for the country. You know, we celebrate 4th of July. We celebrate Juneteenth. What's wrong with celebrating? I mean, sometimes people sound like a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses to me, where they don't want to celebrate. Why would I not want to celebrate something? I don't understand. I get what people are saying about it being virtue signaling and things like that. But what's wrong with celebrating freedom? Are we the party of freedom? What is the issue?
See, I think let me answer your question this way, Lisa. This is what I think, my perspective. Yes, we are the party of freedom, and you know I will yell freedom from the rooftops, right? The thing is that what I'm upset with about my party is that we don't yell it enough. We don't yell the constitutional values enough, except for around these ordained holidays. So to me, again, I'm not saying don't celebrate Juneteenth at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I just want our side to start yelling these values, even if it's not Juneteenth.
Yeah. And again, we talked about this. So we talk about this being Juneteenth and a celebration of freedom. The past, they did do this. But let's look at the present. Now, we have in Juneteenth weekend was one of the deadliest weekends most of these cities have seen in a long time. And this is what we're talking about. This is the hypocrisy of the Democrat Party, because it happened majorly in Democratic cities. So according to CBS News, shootings on Juneteenth weekend left at least 12 dead and more than 100 injured. The shootings follow a rise in homicides and other violence over the past several years that experts say accelerated during the coronavirus pandemic. So we've seen shootings in all these major cities over Juneteenth weekend. Again, this is what we're talking about. So on one hand, they're talking about, you know, shouting, celebrate Juneteenth, celebrate freedom and within this Black community. And then you have this degradation within the community. I want to get your thoughts on that contrast, Shelley, and how do we reconcile this? How do we fix this?
Yeah, events like this or these incidences of the mayhem and the murder, these are the incidents that give the Candace Owenses and the Charlie Kirks the fuel. They say that it's a ghetto holiday. But the thing is that unfortunately, sadly, these incidences happen every day, right? And they do happen in Democrat-run cities. And it's not going to change until the people, like we talked about earlier, until we speak up, until the people in these cities start connecting the dots. Start connecting the dots. What's going on here? We are the ones who are murdering each other. It's not white supremacy that's out there shooting my brothers and sisters, if you will, on the corners every night. That's not white supremacy. That is called murder. That's called crime. That's called debauchery. That's called evil. We need to do better. With Juneteenth or no Juneteenth, we still have work to do.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something that conservatives talk about a lot. And the caller that called into the Kim Klacik show mentioned that. And I didn't like her response. I didn't love it. And I want to get your thoughts on this, T, because she said, the caller said, well, you're not talking about Juneteenth. You're not talking about the Black community. And she said, well, I do talk about the Black community. I talk about shootings. I talk about the violence, but just kind of a little different, I think. And we do hear this a lot from Black community, that conservatives only talk about the bad, never talk about the good. Wouldn't Juneteenth be a kind of opportunity to do that? Every day we're on here talking about all the bad stuff. Wouldn't Juneteenth be an opportunity to celebrate the good?
Ideally, but I mean, even according to them, what good is there? According to the Black people, I mean, they're not free, like I said earlier. But ideally, we should be able to celebrate freedom, freedom for Black people, I guess, because that's the whole point. And how can we do that when we still have these Black on Black crimes? We still have these numbers. So it's kind of like, what do we do? How do we celebrate?
And I want to get your response, because to the question of how can this holiday be unifying? We have the holiday. It's already made a federal holiday, a national holiday, pretty much here to stay at this point. How can this holiday become unifying, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, one thing that the issue is the Black community focuses on historic trauma too much. The only other group I would say focused on historic trauma more, probably the Native Americans, and they are drinking themselves to death. So it's not conducive for promoting growth and prosperity as focusing on historic trauma. So I think the only way to unify is to be more welcoming to other people. Like we had that whole conversation about the posters and how some Black people wanted white people on the posters, others didn't. So like this whole race, I think the welcoming of other people should come from the Black community. I think there has to be more integration, and in general in the country, if we want this country to survive, everyone needs to become more American. And I'm talking for immigrants, for people who are different races here in America. We're all American. And that's the only way that we'll survive as a nation. The more we divide into these tribes, eventually that's all we're going to have. So it has to come from within, and there has to be, maybe just grassroots and individual level. People have to be inviting. If there's a celebration of Juneteenth, invite other people there. Make it about the future and not about the past.
Excellent. Yeah, excellent. And Shelley, I do want to ask you one question, because in Deontay's response to Candace Owens, he said the last line, he said, reason 578 on why Black Americans have a hard time joining the GOP. It's not the policies, it's your messengers. So I want to get your thoughts on that. Is it the messenger? Do we need better messengers to people who would not normally vote Republican? Is Candace Owens a good messenger to the Black community? As she's, that's probably been her goal. Brexit, Black people leave.
I agree with Deontay on that comment. I love that summary of his statements. I do think we need better messengers, and you and I, and we talk about this a lot. I think we need messengers. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but I think we need messengers who have what we call street credibility, right? We are in the urban areas. We quote unquote look like urbanites, if you will, right? We know the people. We have a connection here to the community. We live and breathe and work and volunteer or whatever, do activism activities in the community. So we don't just sit here from a high podium looking down on people. Yes, we also criticize our people, right? We criticize ourselves, but there's this connection, a real connection to the community. So we're not seen as someone who's just preaching and not walking the walk. So yes, Deontay was correct in that. It's the messengers. A lot of people are turned off by Candace Owens, people that look like you and me. A lot of people are turned off by her, associated with Brexit, which she was formerly known for, a founder of, but they are for the mission. They just don't want to do it because she's lined up with it.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is what we're here. This is what we try to do and strive to do every week, and here at Pop and Politics. We have these conversations. We are all conservative, and we want to see the party grow, Republican Party grow, and not just that, but conservatism grow. So we're always looking to find and figure out how can we connect with people who have just been turned off, by the party for whatever reason. They've just turned it off. They're not even getting the signal. How can we connect with them to at least deliver the message? And so that's what we're here, Poppin' Politics, every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. on YouTube. Check us out here and subscribe. And even if you disagree with what we're saying, I do see here we had some people that disagreed with some of the comments we made. Come on the show. We would love to discuss it with you. Your disagreement, or whether you agree or disagree, we'd love to have you on the show, and we can certainly talk about it. All right. So we're moving right along to passport bros. So this is a pretty big thing going on right now. Not sure if you guys are aware of it. This idea of passport bros. They're men who travel the world seeking to date foreign women overseas. Some people criticize it as being mail order brides. So take a look at this. This is clip number 3 of a woman talking about this phenomenon.
If you're looking for a man, just know that the reason you can't find him, a black man specifically, is because he's in Colombia already. He's in Colombia already, y'all. So this is the first time I've come to Colombia, like post pandemic. So like seeing it in its like true form of like what the numbers are looking like. And when I tell you that my whole life was full of it was full of black men traveling with other black men, they come into Colombia, baby. That's why you can't find them.
So there was a lady who was on a flight to Colombia, and she saw many black men, actually, but just not black men. It's all types of men from America who are going overseas looking for mates. Some even are looking for virgins. So some men here, this was a big thing, who are going overseas and looking for women who they want to marry. Do you have an issue with that? I'll start with you, Shelley.
No, I don't know if I have an issue with it. I don't. But let me say this. If you don't know by now, women, many men have a fantasy, a dream, a desire to be the first one to bust a cherry. So, I mean, they just do. I mean, I'm not saying that that's what they do. That's what they dream of. I'm not saying that they necessarily should go and hunt down a virgin, but this is a fantasy of most or a lot of heterosexual men. Okay. Now, having said that, marry who the hell you want to marry. As long as the person is of legal age, you're doing it legally in wherever the country. I don't care.
Mm-hmm. I want to get your thoughts on this, Yana. Just men here in America who are traveling overseas for whatever reason. They don't want an American woman. They're going overseas to places like Colombia, Venezuela, remote areas, looking for wives. Are you offended by that, or do you have an issue with it?
Well, it's happening not just in America or in the North and South Americas. It's also happening in Europe, where men go from Western Europe to Eastern Europe to look for wives. In fact, my niece married someone from Western Europe, and he traveled to the East specifically looking for a wife. And so he was looking for someone more traditional, a Catholic, and someone who is a virgin. So these were his requirements. I mean, I don't know how strict he was on all of these, but that's basically, the ideal that he was looking for. So one thing I gotta say about this, women in the West, they have been corrupted, and it's not for their own good. So a lot of single women that I've lived in America most of my life, and I've was a single woman for quite some time, and a lot of my friends were, and even until now. And the ones that who are still single, I see that the reason why they're single is because of their own doing. A lot of times, or most of the times, because they don't understand what it is to be a wife, to be in a relationship. They have been taught wrong. So I feel sorry for Western women who desire to have a relationship, but they're not able because their mind is completely warped. So I don't have a problem with that, and with them traveling over there, because hopefully maybe Western women will start learning traditional ways if they want to be in a relationship.
All right. T, what are your thoughts on this? Men traveling abroad to find wives, no longer looking here in America because they're turned off by American women. Oh, I think you're having a connection issue. Can you hear me?
It's a delay.
Yeah. Okay. We'll come back to T on that. Yeah. What about the idea of this? Because this was posed on social media and got a lot of feedback about Christians. What do Christians should Christians take issue with men going overseas to find virgins?
Why? Why would Christians say? I mean, that's exactly what. In fact, the story that I told you about my niece's husband, he actually went to his priest, and his priest told him to go to Eastern Europe. He said specifically Belarus. I'm surprised why Belarus, because Belarus is actually not a Catholic country. There's a minority of Catholics there, but but he was able to find a Catholic in Belarus. So that was miraculous. But that's actually, I mean, you have to have a spouse that is you can build a perfect union with. So does it matter where you find that person?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it earlier. Women have lost, American women specifically, have lost a lot of morals and just the way they conduct themselves. It's lost.
And they're suffering. They're suffering themselves. Like they cannot build a lasting relationship. That's what I've experienced being a single woman, having friends who are single. All of them are trying to find reasons why men are bad, and trying to change men constantly, where maybe they need to look within themselves. I'm not saying men are perfect. There are lots of issues, but trying to change them, to also to asking men to excuse promiscuity. That's not gonna give you a healthy relationship.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a little I don't
Well,
know.
I'm sorry. Before you get in, Shelley,
okay.
I just want to bring T back.
Okay.
She was back
Oh,
into
okay,
the
go ahead.
broadcast. T, what are your thoughts on this? As an American woman, should we be offended by this?
I mean, men are going to do what they want to do, but I would like to say that these American men, most of these American men who are going to Colombia and DR and these other places, some of them are already married. They're not looking for wives. They're just looking for some sex. And these women are providing that. They just want some easy sex because they don't have to worry about going on dates and properly courting and dating a American woman. So they just want to go somewhere they can get a quick nut. And these women provide that for $40. And here we are. Most of them don't want wives. They already have wives here in America that allow them to go to these countries. And some of them probably lie about where they're going anyway. So, and I know for sure a handful of them that do this. So, it's not really, oh, we're going to go and get these lovely virgins and we're going to marry them and bring them to our country and they're going to be wholesome wives. That's not what majority of them are doing. FYI.
Can I add as well?
Oh, go ahead. Sure.
Can I add as well along those lines too? I'm going to say a lot of the American men today, they're bitchy. So they are bitchy. They're bitchy. They are not masculine. And I mean, they might look physically masculine, but I mean, their mentality is not masculine. They are whiny. They are as whiny and bitchy as a lot of the females. So it's like, you say you can't have two females in the kitchen. Why does she want another damn bitchy man in the kitchen with her?
Well, I mean, the same way though, you can say some of these women are very alpha, very loud and obnoxious and have masculine tendencies. So it's like roles have been reversed. You do have a lot of women like this.
Yeah,
specifically in the Black community.
They're not going. They're going to these places. They're not, like I'm saying. Yeah, you can. I want to say you can mold a woman, but they have to be teachable. And most of these women, sure enough, aren't teachable because you probably got to catch them younger to get them teachable. But they're not going to these countries to have a woman wash their feet. They're going to get a nut. So there's a big difference there. And in the meantime, she might,
That's a big difference. That's a big difference in location too.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
There have been studies.
It depends on.
I mean, we have to know exactly. Like, I guess we need to talk and like see if there's like an actual statistic of how many of them are marrying these women, how many of them are just traveling there for fun. So I guess we do not really know.
Well, yeah, we do, because according to the American Community Survey, which is put out by the census, and this was as of, I think 2013 was the most recent one, about 1/5, about 20% or so, there are about 20% of what they call mixed nativity marriages. Most of them, of those 20%, most of them are females who were foreigners or immigrants, and the men who brought them here. So we have some idea that has been done, and it seems to be increasing mostly due to immigration, illegal or illegal. So there's some instance of that. Also, let's not forget our military members, when a lot of them travel abroad, may live abroad, and they may find, most of the time it's the men that will find female spouses in foreign countries, particularly the Asian or Southeast Asian countries.
That's been something that's been done for many, many years, so generations. But we definitely want to continue to look into this. I have personal experience with something like this. I know at least 3 people who have done similarly, but they were actually looking for wives. But they were older, looking for wives, and abroad. So I'm sure there's a little bit of everything going on there.
And what you say they're looking for wives, I think a lot of them are. And what's interesting is that many of the men who are looking for wives, some of them have already been married. So this may be their second or married, or a second or third marriage or whatever. So they've been married before, but they want the woman to not have been.
Well, and they're looking for someone who knows her role as a wife. I think that's when I think about these men, I think they're just tired. Yeah, or just is already taught. Like, so her community, her family, her parents, they taught her how to be a wife. So the problem in the West is that our parents, parents here are not teaching that anymore. So teenagers, they do not know, they have no idea what to do in the relationship, in the long-term relationship or marriage.
And even in my personal experiences with my daughters, it's like when you try to teach those things, you're still fighting society, because society can be loud and very loud.
That's true. We've talked about that. We talked about that at the top of the show. Society wants to make an army of whores. They do.
Feminists.
Yeah, this is what they want, but I said this in our group chat offline, and I'll say it here today. It will be men who save the communities. It's men, and we kind of see it because it looks like if again, we do not have the numbers, but if it's what we're thinking, men are rejecting these new feminist women. And they're going abroad to get more traditional women. So it will be men that we will say this, not women. Women want to be allies to the LGBT. They want to be working all the time, and they don't want to have kids anymore. So American women. So if anything, if we want somebody to save our communities, our family units, our relationships, it will be American men. So American men that are watching this, please comment on that. I want to get your comments on how do you feel about that statement? That it will be American men who will save families and our republic. Our republic. So
look, it was American men,
Masculine men.
the allies that stormed the beaches of Normandy. There was the allies that that fought in World War II that saved us. Mostly men, 99% men. It will be men. Has to be men again.
Absolutely.
No
so we are moving right along. This is the last topic of the night. We're moving to anti-white discrimination. So according to CNN, a jury on about 2 Mondays ago found in favor of former Starbucks regional director Shannon Phillips, who sued the company for wrongfully firing her, claiming she was terminated for being white. Now, this was a viral story, if you guys remember. I believe it was about 5 years ago, where 2 African-American men walked into a Starbucks. They did not buy anything. I think they were having a meeting or something, and they were asked to leave. And so it became a firestorm around it. Starbucks all across the country were closed down, were protesting this. They were forced to take, I believe it was unbiased training and all kinds of stuff. Well, this lawsuit stemmed from that. So the jury ruled unanimously. After a 6-day trial, the lawyer said, noting that Phillips will also be seeking back and front pay. So thoughts on this? Again, I'm actually happy about it. I gotta be honest with you, because discrimination should be discrimination. It shouldn't be about if you're white, if you're black, if you're this color or that. Discrimination is discrimination. And if you fire someone due to the color of their skin, no matter if they're white or black, you need to pay the consequences. Your thoughts on this, Shelley?
Yeah. I agree. I was not upset with it at all. This woman, if she was fired, it looks like she was fired without cause, simply because she was of her color, then why should she not be compensated? If it was me or anyone else, we would want to be as well. So in this case, I think justice was served correctly.
Yeah. Your thoughts on this, T? Do you remember this case with the 2 guys in the Starbucks? Who have been waiting for a meeting?
I remember.
Okay. Yeah, that's what
they shut down the courts and all of that. Yeah, and I feel like it ain't funny. What is the saying? It ain't fun when the rabbit's got the gun. Now she used those same tactics to turn it around and use it as her benefit, and I'm not mad at it at all. Matter of fact, what's her name? I can go to dinner with her. She used to take me to dinner.
Yeah, I mean, Miss Phillips claims Starbucks started punishing white employees who weren't involved weeks later in a bid to publicly prove they were handling the incident. So this is kind of this, what was that, white guilt thing, I guess. Or white guilt, I believe it is. And Miss Phillips alleges the firm ordered her to put a white male manager who had worked for the company for 15 years on administrative leave because of a race discrimination allegation against him. So we're seeing this all over the place where, the people are being passed by because now we have this whole woke culture and everything. And so white people are really getting the bad end of the stick. What are your thoughts on this, Yana?
Well, I mean, I'm glad of the outcome of this lawsuit, because the discrimination against white people or Asian people recently also has been on the rise. I don't know if you know about like college admissions, just different, like even high schools where it's like a magnet high school or something like that. There has been discrimination against not non-minorities, would say, or someone like they would say, well, there are way too many Asians or way too many Indians already, and so they begin to play with the numbers, in order to get someone who is of a Black person or Hispanic, just to get someone. So there shouldn't be things like this in America. That if racism is racism, you cannot discriminate. So because if you say, well, it's okay for this person to discriminate because they're a certain race, then you're just going back in time. You're just recreating racism again, and you're repeating the same cycle. So then we're just going to be going back and forth and like punching each other forever. So like what is the point of this society that is supposed to be this new society where we build a new type of society that is not like in the rest of the world, where we're not supposed to focus on race? And no, the left is pushing discrimination all the time, and it's really not conducive to what we're trying to build.
Yeah,
and this is what white people are saying when they say, Black people they can have their own African American organization, they can have their own African American affinity groups in these companies, they can have their own African American everything, schools. I mean, I guess we had to have HBCUs back then, but it's like, okay, now if white people try to have their own white American organization or white, it's racism. We're being racist, and so they're being racist. And I'm like, well, I don't have a problem with white pride, just as I don't have a problem with Black pride. So we have to figure out how to look, and we're going to be Americans and patriotic, how we look in this lens of not having the division. And just, if we're going to have white organizations, have Black organizations, vice versa.
Aren't you contradicting yourself a little bit there? So let me talk. I was just about to say, so you would think in this day and age, we would be post-racial. We would be a society where, we have all different shades, all different hair types, everything. So we would be post-racial. It wouldn't be about Black pride, white pride. I mean, it would be about, I guess if you all live in the same country, you could have pride for your country. But let me see. I want to make sure you understand how they're twisting this, because we have become more divisive within racial division, but yet they are pushing this whole idea of AI. So they are making us racially divided, but then the idea of combining this transhumanism aspect of things, that's congratulated, that's supported. Isn't that bizarre? Am I making sense there?
But that's technology. So how are you relating technology with racism?
Because when you think about this idea of, let's say, gender dysphoria or transgenderism, where you don't have, you're just a cog, really. You're not a man, you're not a woman, you're just a thing. Why do you think they're doing that? Because robots are that.
So you're saying ultimately the next step, which I mean, if I understand you, KJ, you're saying the next step is they're not even going to divide us by race. We're not even going to be humans. Basically, we're going to be.
They want to bring about a society where there's no gender, because robots don't really have gender.
A Borg. That's what the Borgs are on Star Trek. The Borgs.
Right. So we're moving towards that. And the way they do that is they keep pushing this racial divide amongst us, because then that tears apart society. And also because what goes against this racial divide? What is the one thing that unites us, at least a lot of people outside of race? Faith. So the Bible talks about people, we're all one under God, but that's why they push against that, because they want to keep us racially divided. I mean,
well, the thing is that they push it, number one, because it works, and it has been a perennial, a long time a return on their investment. It works. People fall for it. So the AI is only going to be as good as they are programming it to be, right? Whoever they are. But this is an issue that never goes away because people still fall for it. We're not there yet. Yes, we are more divided than you think we would ever be, but some of us are still stuck on, oh, you're black, you're darker, you have good hair, you have light hair, you got mixed parents, you don't. It's a bunch of foolishness. It's a bunch of confusion.
Confusion, right.
Yeah, and I have to say faith again would be the unifying force, because this whole thing with black pride, white pride, I don't like that at all, because that, like, when like I don't belong in, like, I'm not gonna go to a white organization. I'm not, like, I don't care for other Europeans. Like, I have not much in common with them.
Yeah.
So what is it about me? Just because this person, like, somewhat like similar shade, like we might have a totally different culture and totally different experiences. So what are we proud of exactly? And
I
so
don't know if faith is going to be I don't know if faith, and I'm not saying this to put down religion. I don't know if it's going to be faith, because Sundays tend to be divided too. So Sundays and they tend to be pretty segregated too. I would say truth. I would say truth. I would say truth.
Go by the communities they're surrounded by. So a lot of communities, you're in a community with people that look like you most of the time. But when you go out to the county or to the suburbs, a lot of churches are mixed race. It's not just all black.
Yeah, but I would say truth. I would say truth.
Faith and patriotism.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I think the way this is all going, and the way things are going with this, what we're seeing right now is pure evil. It is. It's pure evil in biblical proportions. So, the way to fix this, and if people don't get it, then we're doomed, is through faith. It is. It's through faith. And to transcend race and gender and all of that type of stuff and focus on we're all one in the body of Christ, or God, or whatever you want to call it. So that's what's going to fix this thing. It's going to be faith.
We're all one because we're humans. If that's the case.
And we share all of our DNA is 99.99% the same. So that's why I say
nothing
truth.
to do with the body of Christ.
I don't know about that, because when you talk about the idea of man and woman and family units, that stems from the Bible. That stems from
nature.
No, I don't know.
I mean, how else are the man and woman going to procreate?
Where does nature come from?
Our creator, whoever you want to call him, however we got here. It doesn't have to be God.
Yeah, it goes back to God. It all goes back to God. We have a blueprint of how society is supposed to be run.
The reason that's what I'm making it. That's what I'm doing. I'm making a distinction. The reason and again, I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong, KJ. I'm going to say it's going to be truth, because faith can be corrupted. What is true? Faith can be corrupted.
What is
religion
true?
Can be corrupted.
What is
religion
true?
Tends to be segregated
what
every Sunday.
What is true?
Truth is that we're all humans. We all share
whatever it is.
We're our biology.
That makes no sense. What is truth?
How?
That's true.
Where are you deriving
that we're here? That we're here. We exist.
Where does the truth come from?
Do you know whatever your faith tells you? But that's not religion. Religion isn't the reason that we're here.
About religion, I said, what is truth? You guys are coming up with these things.
The truth.
I mean, Shelley, isn't there like a Bible verse where Jesus says, "I'm the way and the truth"?
Yeah, he does say that. He does say that. He does say that. And it's
I think
also
that's probably what KJ is trying to
verse in
say.
Psalm 139 that says, I created you in your mother's womb. You are fearfully and wonderfully created. I'm not disputing any of that. I'm just saying that religion and faith can be corrupted, but the truth, I'm just saying truth is what I think is going to be. I'm not disputing any of that. Those things.
I mean, humans, yes, they will corrupt, whatever it is.
Right,
I mean, the way that they interpret things. Yeah, so I guess you have to go to the basics and focus on the basics of faith, without corruption, without additions.
As long as there's humans, there's going to be corruption. So that's why I'm saying truth is going to be truth.
But it's up to humans to also cut down on that corruption.
They're not. We have never done it since the beginning of time.
Yeah, I mean,
always had a
but who started America? They were the most faithful of Europe.
They were most faithful, but they were still flawed. I'm not saying that they were not
absolutely,
faithful.
but they were
already Native Americans
very corrupt.
Yeah, I'm not. Listen, what I'm saying, I'm just saying
the America that we have today.
Faith is personal, and faith can be corrupted by charismatic people, religion, or whatever. All I'm saying is that the truth is that we all share 99.99% of our DNA. We're all human beings created with a purpose. The Imago Dei. Yes, that's all important. I think that's all truth. But to say that it's a faith, then people are going to say, well, what faith? Whose faith? These are the questions that are going to come behind that.
Well, I guess it depends on, I'm not even going to get into that. So,
and this conversation.
I mean, all I know is that if you remove faith, if you remove religion, you have Marxism and you have the Soviet Union. And I know what happens when you just think scientifically, and if you try to build a society just based on science and materialism. And I'm not talking about like materialism sort of like consumerism, no, like matter, so only on matter alone. So if you do not have faith, if you do not have the sense of spirit, and if you do not have structure that you follow, a spiritual structure, the society will collapse very quickly.
Well, this is what we have. This is why we have a bunch of people now who go around talking about spirituality and this is this and this and that, and they don't have any type of foundation where they're getting this from. And so that's
from nature.
I think they do have a foundation.
And this is why people are easily tricked into Marxism, tricked into it because this is what it gives that structure right there.
Feminism,
who has a religious mindset.
Yeah, they don't believe in
someone
that.
that has a religious mindset, of course.
Right. Yeah, I don't agree with that. What you say. I don't.
Exactly what it is.
I don't think so. I think again to say faith. Nobody said faith is not important. I just said that it's going to come. The questions are going to come after that to say whose faith and which faith, because again, religion and various sects or whatever, they are at odds too. All I'm saying is your personal faith, fine, yes, have it. It's beautiful. But to say that is the only thing that's going to help, but then and the questions are going to be, at least for me, I would say, well, whose faith? Which faith? That's what I would say, and millions of other people are going to say that too. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the questions can be answered if people get to take the time to research.
Well,
these questions.
Yeah, so a Muslim, you're a Christian. A Muslim can say the same thing, but it'll be a different.
Muslims came after Christianity.
And Judaism came before it. And Judaism came before it.
There's truth somewhere. There's a truth somewhere. And this stuff has been debated for eons.
Exactly.
According to religious people,
that's why it's called. That's what we have shared values. So the religions that you have mentioned, we have shared values, and that's what I'm talking about. Looking into the core and not adding too much extra stuff. And if you look,
that's what I'm talking about. That's not religion.
It's faith.
It's not religion.
We didn't say religion. We actually didn't say religion.
And there lies the truth.
I say that almost every week, a form of that, what you just said.
All right, we'll leave it there. So again, thank you so much for watching with us tonight. Again, this brings us to the end of our show. continue the conversation by checking us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and subscribe. Those tags @ signs there are all of our Instagram names, so our usernames. So definitely check us out on there. And so that way you get up to the minute content when we post, and we appreciate your support. We are an independent media, and each time you subscribe, it helps make our voice that much stronger. We are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. Again, check us out on our website at www.popandpoliticslive.com. We look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night. Purpose.